Hey everyone, welcome to Femme Fables. Megan here, and today we're talking about getting back into the dating game. So if you think to yourself, I'm no way, any shape or form ready to date again, probably not the episode for you. But if you are going through a breakup and trying to work through it, I suggest going back through the last 3 episodes where we talk about some breakup triage, and I actually talk about my own experience of a recent breakup that I had and how I got through it. But if you're thinking, you know what, I am ready to put myself back out there and date again, but I want to make sure I'm really ready, this is the video for you. We're going to talk about 7 signs you're ready to date, and I'm going to give you some tips in between as well. So let's get started. Number 1, have you made room in your life to date? What I mean by that is, do you have a good balance in your life in order to put forth the effort that it takes to date people? So if you have a crazy work life and you think to yourself, gosh, I probably would not have any time to go on dates, get ready to go on dates, put forth effort into talking to get to know people, probably a good sign you're not ready to date yet. Dating takes work. I joke that it's a second job for me. I really have to put in forth the effort, and I'm a firm believer that the effort you put into something is the effort you get back. So if you're putting very little effort into it, you're gonna get very little effort back. That's just the way it goes. So really evaluating, are you ready to give the time to dating? Because it does take time and effort to put into. Second, have you been taking care of yourself? Do you feel good? Do you feel confident? And that's all about self-love. And if you're thinking, you know what, I really don't have any confidence right now, my ex really, beat up my self-esteem and my self-confidence, then I would recommend going and watching the self-love episode where I talk about kind of how I built my self-love back up and my confidence. So, and if you look good and feel good, and I just don't mean look good like, you're an Instagram model or anything like that. I just mean, do you feel comfortable in your own skin? And if you're not, that's going to portray, that's going to reflect outward. People are going to pick up on that. If you don't think people pick up on that, they do. And you'll walk into a date probably not feeling confident, and it might be a little awkward. So really assessing, are you feeling good both physically and mentally in order to get back into the dating game? The reason why that's also important is dating is tough. And there can be some sense of rejection. So if you don't have that strong core self-love, you're gonna get chewed up and spit out, and it's going to affect you. And I only say that because I have felt like I've been chewed up and spit out many of times because I didn't have that self-esteem or self-confidence to just roll with it and be like, okay, well, that didn't work out. That person wasn't interested in me. Next. So that's really important. The other thing, if you're getting over a breakup, you're no longer thinking about the past. You're not fretting about it. You're not bitter about it. You're not looking back on it. That took me a long time to get to. I say a long time, but it took me about 7 months total to get over this breakup with somebody I only dated for 3 months. So don't think for any second that there should be a time frame on when you get over somebody. What's the saying? It should take you half the time you were together. No, it took me almost double the time. Time doesn't reflect the connection that we felt we had to somebody. If you felt deeply for somebody, no matter how long you dated them, the breakup could probably be very traumatic to you and take some time. So give yourself that time and be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up that it should have taken you a lot less time. So just remember that, but you got to get to a point where you're at peace with yourself. I was actually in a very heated discussion with my friend the other day who also went through a breakup, and she said, I'm not over it, he's an a-hole, he did all these awful things, which is true, all valid. But I told her that negative energy, you're only carrying within yourself. Do you think he's sitting over there thinking, God, I was such an a-hole, God, I treated her like shit? No, they're not. They're probably moved on with their life. They maybe moved on to someone else. And you're sitting here fretting about it. Gotta let it go. And I'm not saying be like, forgive poor behavior, right? But really getting past it and not holding that negative energy. Because if you have that still, that's also going to project in your dates. Trust me. I tried to date immediately after my breakup because I thought it was going to help me get over this person. And I forgot what episode it was we talked about it, but I almost cried on my date because I wasn't over it. And all I could think about was, God, I really wish the person I wanted to be with was the one sitting next to me right now, not this person. One, not fair to the person who took the time out to meet me and go on a date, right? That was kind of crappy for me to do. And 2, obviously I wasn't ready to put myself out there to date again and needed more time to heal. So you're not having bitter thoughts, you're not thinking about the past, you've accepted it and you're ready to move forward. 4, set your intentions. Make sure you're not just trying to have a rebound relationship, because that happens, or a rebound date to make you feel good about yourself. Again, not fair to the person that you're talking to, not fair to yourself either. And, what are you really looking for? I ask people when they say, well, I want to find somebody, and I ask them, well, what is it that you're looking for? I just want somebody I get along with. Okay. Well, what traits do they have that are important to you that you want to see in this person? And a good thing too is to reflect on that ex maybe that you had a breakup with and say, what was it in that I didn't like about the relationship? So I can tell you from my own personal experience, the last person I dated wasn't a great communicator. I mean, basically they breadcrumbed me, then came back. Clearly not a good communicator and didn't have the strength or wasn't strong enough to just give me that closure to break up with me. So now going forward, I want to know that somebody's a good communicator. And I was talking to somebody the other day that said, ask someone if ghosting is something that you think it's awful to do to somebody, which I do. Ask the person that you're dating, like, okay, well, if you weren't interested in somebody or you no longer wanted to see them, how would you handle that? And if they say, I'd probably just stop talking to them or responding to their text, red flag. That person's not a good communicator, nor are they a compassionate individual, really. So is that somebody you want to be with? Probably not. So make sure you set your intentions on what you're looking for. If you're looking for just fun, then that's your intention. You just want fun. If you're looking for a relationship, that's your intention. You're looking for a relationship. And make sure you're targeting people who match that, especially if you're on dating apps, which, obviously we're still in the pandemic. It's hard to go out. I mean, I'm in Florida, so people are going out a lot more than in other states. You could always do virtual dates, things like that. If somebody's not willing to either do a virtual date with you or, at least go out on a socially distanced date, then they're probably not serious about dating or wanting to be in a relationship. But also, most on like Bumble, for example, you can put, what it is that you're looking for. So if you see somebody that says, I'm just looking for something casual, and you match with them and you're looking for a relationship, well, they've already told you their intentions. They don't want anything serious. So why are you going to waste your time with somebody who doesn't want that? Like for me, if they say they don't know yet what they want, or they just want something casual, that's not somebody I'm going to like or swipe right on. If they say they don't want to have children, I'm not going to swipe right. I want to have kids. I want to get married. Those are my intentions when I'm dating, is to find my, long-term partner. Essentially, that's the end goal, right? So setting your intentions, making sure you're targeting the people that you want to date, you're matching with people that, meet your morals, values, ethics. And you're not going to know that right away, right? But as you talk to people, you can pick up on, how they're interacting with you, if they're really serious about dating or not. But again, if you're just looking to have fun, then that's awesome. Go have fun. Long as that's your intentions, you're all good. The other one is, are you happy with your life? Are you comfortable being alone? So if you're not comfortable being alone, you don't want to rely on somebody else for happiness, right? So if you can't be by yourself and be happy by yourself, then I feel like you're just going to give that other person too much power, because you're relying on them for the happiness, right? So when they take that away from you, it's probably even more devastating. So making sure you're comfortable with your life, you're happy where you are, you can be alone. There are weekends where I go do nothing. I just sit at home with my dog and we hang out, and I'm comfortable and happy. Or I read a book, or I take a bath with some candles or whatever. But it doesn't bother me that I'm not going out. I'm not like, God, I really can't stand being alone. Especially in the pandemic, due to COVID, a lot of us that are single are alone. So, if you're like me, I really had to learn to just be happy and comfortable within my own skin and being by myself. But I think it only makes you a more confident person when you go on dates. You're not putting so much expectation on that person, which is actually something we're going to get to in the last one. The next 6, review your past lessons. So we talked about that a little bit before. What were some red flags that you can think of in your last relationship? If it ended poorly or that person treated you poorly, what were things you could have picked up on? when we first break up with somebody, we idealize them in our head. We only think about the great things, how great of a person they were, all these great times we had together, how great they made you feel. I know I did that, but in reality, when I look back, I can pinpoint very specifically things that I glazed over because I wanted to be with this person so badly. I thought that I could just glaze over them and, oh, we can work on that later, or we'll work through that together. So I know for me, if somebody talks really poorly about an ex, that's a red flag, right? If somebody has drama with an ex that they have kids with, that's probably a red flag on how they're potentially going to treat you. So just be mindful of that. There are always some red flags that we see that we probably ignored or, pushed it aside because it was the beginning of the relationship. It was fun. It was exciting. We're with somebody. We connect mentally and sexually and all these things. But making sure you're looking for red flags in your last relationships that you've had so you can identify quicker people who aren't going to meet your needs when you're dating. The other thing too is I created a hell yes and hell no list. So I did a relationship course that was actually really good about like preparing you for dating and things like that. And one of the things was you need 5 to 7 hell yes things and 5 to 7 hell no, right? Hell yes means these are things I absolutely need in somebody. Hell no is these are the things I absolutely will not tolerate with somebody. Now you can't have a hell yes list that's like 50 things long, right? Not everyone's ever going to meet that. I actually had to pare mine down from like 15 to 5 or 7. My friends were like, okay, yeah, that would be nice to have, but is it necessary to have a successful relationship in your mind? So I'll share mine with you. So hell yes, somebody who wants marriage, somebody who wants kids, somebody who's funny and lighthearted, adventurous, has a good sense of humor, and what was the other one? Has manners and is respectful, because manners are a huge thing for me. Hell no, unfortunately, I could not date somebody who is a regular cigarette smoker. I wouldn't date somebody who didn't want children. I wouldn't date somebody who didn't want to get married. And I would not date somebody who was disrespectful to others or demeaning or looked down upon others. I think that's just such a ugly quality in somebody to do. Like, you ever been out on a date and somebody was rude to the waitstaff for no reason, or in general just rude to somebody, and you just sit there and think, who raised you? Like, that's just so impolite to do. So those were my list. So I recommend, if you're ready to start dating, kind of writing out a list of, here are the things that I definitely want in somebody. Here are the things that are deal breakers for me. Your hell no's are your deal breakers, essentially. So that way, if you are doing dating apps, you're kind of going through and you're weeding out, because there's so many people available to us, right, on dating apps. You're weeding out the people that aren't going to meet at least your criteria right off the bat. And I'm not saying you have this super hard list that nobody's ever going to meet expectations on. I just went through my list. It's not anything that's, crazy that I'm asking for. But again, I'm not going to go match with somebody who says, I don't want kids, I don't want marriage, I don't know what I'm looking for in my life right now. They're not on the same page as me. And I think a lot of dating and being successful in dating is that you're, my friend says, cut from the same cloth, meaning you are on the same page in life right now. Because you may meet somebody, and I dated somebody who we got along really well, but they told me their time frame to get married was not until another 10 years. Unfortunately, that's not my time frame. We're not cut from the same cloth at that time. So, and the last is keep your expectations low. I am so guilty of having high expectations when I meet somebody, especially if I like them. My brain starts going, we're gonna have this happily ever after and all this stuff, and he's gonna come on a white horse, and your brain starts, my friend calls it emotional masturbation. Your brain starts creating things that haven't even happened yet, right? And I really, really had to work on this to go into something having low expectations, right? You're not gonna expect to right out the gate, get married, right? I'm exaggerating there. But, going in thinking like, I'm just going to meet somebody and hopefully they're a good person and we get along and we have good conversation. And if that's all that comes out of it, great. If it turns out to be more, great. If it turns out to be less, great. Doesn't matter, right? I have low expectations going in. I'm not saying don't put effort. Effort and expectations are different. You should still put effort going into a date, right? Because you don't want to waste the other person's time, okay? So keeping your expectations low so that you're not so disappointed. When I had high expectations, thinking like this is going to work out with this person, and it didn't, it hurt me. And I've had to learn not to let it hurt me. I went on a date last week, and for my first date since my breakup, or when I disastrously tried to date right after my breakup, and it was such a nice date. We watched the sunset, we had dinner, all outdoors or whatever, and socially distanced, and it's a great conversation. And I remember the whole date, I didn't once think about my ex. Now, if you had asked me that when I first tried to date after my ex, that's all I thought about. And now, you know, I'm slowly getting away from that, but it was nice, and I didn't have any expectations. And, you know, we may go out again this week, so maybe it'll turn into something, maybe not. So these are some tips to, you know, hopefully identify that you're ready to date again. And if you are, I'm so proud of you. Getting through a breakup is rough, let me tell you. This was probably one of the worst things I've ever experienced and had to go through as far as breakups go. And I've had long-term relationships longer than this one where I had breakups and it didn't take me as long. So don't ever discount your pain or suffering. Work through it. If you need to go back and watch the other episodes with the breakup triage, self-love, rebound relationships, healing and letting go, make sure to watch those if you feel you're not ready. But if you are, I wish you luck in your dating life, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.